Now, when I spoke with you in 2016 ahead of that remarkable 2016 Democratic presidential primary in South Carolina, one of the things we spent a long time talking about was South Carolina's Democratic bench.
Yes.
The effect that it has on politics in that state, that the state is seen as a red state, is seen as a Republican dominant state. And so people who are Democrats, who might be inclined toward political service, leave the state and seek it elsewhere because it doesn't seem like fertile territory. You've clearly decided that that's not true for you.
No, it's not true for me. And you remember, I talked about a Clyburn Fellowship that I created that year. We have now trained 125 young people in every county in South Carolina, trained them to run for office themselves. So now we have newly elected members of the state house, school board, county council, people who sit on boards of trustees. They're Clyburn Fellows, and many of them now are running the presidential campaigns that the 20-some-odd presidential candidates have in South Carolina. So we are really leading this whole new South, as we talked about, and I hope to be a part of that story.
Yeah, I want to do more on that. That's Jamie Harrison. He's got a great story. I'll play a little clip more in a minute because I want you to hear more of his story. But my point is, and welcoming into Possibility Politics, is that one side is saying, how do we deepen ourselves to become and get the things that matter to Americans? And the other side is saying, how much do we obstruct? How much do we stand in our certitude? How much do we fight with our rage? And I know people say, oh, liberals fight too. Yes, that's true. Each side has its fighty fringe. But where is it as a movement? And there's so much more for people than against.
You have two four-letter words. You have one, you have fear, which seems to motivate the one side. And then you have hope, which seems to motivate the other.
Yeah.
And those are fundamental principles, I think.
So is it possible to make inroads with fear?
Yes.
Well, no, yeah. I always like I like the analogy. You can startle someone with fear, and in the same way, they go boo, and they startle. But after the third or fourth boo, they go, okay, I'm done being startled, and now I want to get back to reality here. And so we're in that phase, I believe.
So on, let's say the Trump supporters, right? Okay, so their fear, because they're fed this through Fox News, which is a lie, is that the reason why they don't have good jobs is because of immigrants.
People who don't look like them.
The reason, so
they're willing to accept blame. Just give me something to blame because I'm going to feel better with blame.
But I'm trying to go
That's
to their
so
fear.
Lazy.
Right, which is blame is the relief of fear.
Okay, so but underneath that is the fear. I'm not going to have enough.
Yeah. Yeah, let's talk about that.
I'm not going to be enough. I'm not. So how do, that's where the conversation, I think if we can get there, we could actually have a conversation about things like single payer health care, universal tuition, universal living wage and things like that.
It needs to be explained very simply, I think, that the reason you're not having enough, the reason you're afraid is not the brown person who just got here. It's probably a CEO.
Right.
It could be your local district attorney. So that was the other thing about local. Man, vote your DAs in because they determine.
And vote Jackie Lacy out.
Yeah.
Okay.
New DA 2020.
For you, California.
John Oliver on
his segment last week tonight on. I highly recommend it. Last week tonight's segment on district attorneys.
District attorneys
it'll change your paradigm
terrifying.
on local politics.
I'd be happy to tell you about our district attorney because I happen to know a lot. Okay, I'll take that opening.
Here she goes.
So, district attorney here in Los Angeles County is a woman named Jackie Lacy. She's been DA for 5 years. In the 5 years that she's been DA, over 520 people in Los Angeles County have died at the hands of law enforcement. 520 over 5 years. And in that 5 years, she has prosecuted, as of 3 months ago, one officer. So when I first started showing up to Wednesdays to be a circle of support for the families, I'm thinking of Jesse Romero's dad. Jesse Romero was 14 years old playing with a water gun. 14, his hands were up. He's dead. He was shot by police. So when I first started showing up to be a support to these families and to tell Jackie Lacy, step down. You're not doing your job. Your job is to prosecute these police who conduct themselves this way. That number was 430. We're now at 520. So Jackie Lacy is not doing her job, and we need to vote in a new DA here in Los Angeles County in 2020.
You know, a lot of people probably think, oh, in California, you probably don't have this issue. That just happens in Missouri, right?
No.
It's like,
Right.
No. We also need to take a good,
time.
hard look at the military to police pipeline.
Yeah.
And also, could we train
This is
them?
all the crime bill left over.
Right, no,
This is the whole era.
Yeah.
Do you know who authored the 1994 crime bill?
Joe Biden!
Joe Biden authored that bill.
Oh, you don't
Joe
think that's going to be
Biden
around his neck?
authored that bill.
Okay, so now we're good. Good. Perfect pivot into
Joe Biden
into
also
Democratic
opposed the
candidates.
integration of our public
Okay.
schools.
So we know you're not for him. So
I'm just tired of the media telling me that he's winning every poll and he's going to blow everybody away because
okay.
it's absolute freaking crap.
good. Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that.
All right. So first of all, if you do a little analysis of those polls, you guys already know this, that one of the reasons why Joe Biden is a front runner is a couple of reasons. The big reason is that Obama love. They think he's associated with Obama. That's one. Second one, they did a lot of polling, and there's a lot of women, weirdly, even feminists. They ask people that have self-identified feminists who prefer Joe Biden. Why? Because they're genuinely afraid that a woman can't win presidency, period.
Okay, let's talk about their fear.
Yeah.
Right? No, but,
I mean, come on, ladies.
right? And your gender's going to have
Put your
to
bra
save
on,
the day.
your lipstick, and let's lead.
Well, they're going to. And here's one of the here's a historical predictor that gives me encouragement on that topic. When Obama was running against Hillary in 2008, Obama was way in the back. As you remember, he won in Iowa, and black support went from 70% Hillary to 60% Obama in a minute because they went, oh, he can win.
Yeah.
And once these debates, we get through some of these debates, we get some polling matchups, we're going to see women go, oh, wait, Kamala Harris might win, Elizabeth Warren, a woman can win, or Bernie Sanders can win, or somebody, Cory Booker, somebody of color. They're going to see that it's possible. And it's going to, but right now, there's so much fear. There's so much fear that Trump might get a second term. And that is
There
our
is
job
so
as
much fear.
as on the left, as progressives, as people who see that a person of character is important in the White House.
Yes.
That you've got to watch. Your fear that somehow America's going to prefer a lying, narcissistic, malignant sociopath
Over a
anybody.
woman.
Over a
Right,
woman.
right.
We didn't in 2016 by 3 million votes.
We didn't, but you remember all the particulars. We don't need to go over this again.
Right.
But the fact that we were told Hillary's going to win, so a lot of people just said, well, I'll third party vote. I won't show up. I mean, there's a million factors that happened. Plus, the Russian interference was huge.
Well, the fact that she
and all
didn't
this stuff.
campaign in Pennsylvania,
Yeah. And she
Michigan, or
thought she was going to win,
Wisconsin,
too.
She phoned it in.
because she felt she did not have to
phoned it
earn
in.
the votes that they were
See,
owed to her.
and that's what
Everybody was wrong.
That's what bothers me about
Everybody was
Biden. He's
wrong.
got that same cocky attitude.
He's not showing up to the California Democratic Convention, but everybody else
There's like a
is.
half dozen huge progressive things. He's
Well,
just
he probably
blowing off.
He might be staying away out of Kamala Harris's way too. It's weird because so many of them are senators. They have this weird kind of collegiate thing they're doing with each other. Leaving their
Elizabeth
own-
Warren is a senator.
Yeah.
Bernie
Well,
Sanders is a senator. There's
so we
lots
know
of
your favorite
senators
is Bernie.
showing up.
Who's your second favorite?
You guys are
You
going
guys
to
got
laugh.
favorites
Yeah, I would get off me. Who's your favorite?
so far? Who do you like so far? I know you guys don't like Hickenlooper.
Why would you?
Well, the thing about Hickenlooper, he's running on this idea that my friend John brought up, which was on the news the other night, is that he did this great thing, which was very socialist ultimately, where they made sure everybody in Colorado who wanted an IUD had one. And the numbers in reduction of unwanted birth and pregnancies were unbelievable. 50s and 60s.
42% drop.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was one of the most effective social programs ever. And what is he running on now? Against socialism. It's bizarre to me. So I'm kind of done with Hickenlooper because he's trying to sell everyone as the pragmatist. But short of him, I love almost everybody.
Who's your number one pick?
I like, if I could just, I don't know for
If you
sure
had
this
a magic
early,
wand.
But a magic wand right now, I would do like a Harris Booker ticket almost right now.
Really? So you just want to put Big Pharma in the White House, huh?
See, but then there's...
Also, do you have
the
any
private
idea how much
citizen
water he
industry.
carried for Betsy DeVos about 5 years ago?
Oh, yeah.
I know. And this is the thing is you can now, and if you want to talk about Bernie, I'm not going to get into Bernie with you guys because if I start to say what I don't like about Bernie, I'm
What
gonna get
don't you like
assaulted
about Bernie?
here. I think he's too angry at Wall Street.
Oh, I love his anger. It's so sexy.
I think he has cornered Wall Street in a way and said, you guys are crooks. There's no hope for you. We're bad. We're done with you. And it's like, no, I have to give everybody the opportunity to evolve. You can, you know.
You want to give a sociopathic corporation the opportunity to evolve?
Corporation is not a people.
Do you understand how they're going to evolve?
Remember when they bankrupted this country and none of them served any consequences? Oh, I think they got golden parachutes.
Yeah.
That was their punishment.
Well, that wasn't
millions
that was
and millions and millions.
That was politicians and district attorneys and attorney generals, right? I love Swalwell. He's even though a little moderate probably for you guys.
He flat out says he's not for single payer.
That I have
we
a
had him
problem
at
with.
Santa Monica Democratic Club, and the president of that club, John Katz, directly asked him, and he said no. By the way, Amy Klobuchar was just at the Pacific Palisades Democratic Club, the Santa Monica Democratic Club, and the West LA Democratic Club were hosting these candidates. John again got Amy Klobuchar to say no, she does not support Medicare for all.
Yeah.
So.
And that's a big one, obviously, and I think that's going to make them rise to the top too. I mean, people are saying, "Oh, they're so bold." Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders saying Medicare for all. It's not going to be bold. The Overton window on that is going to move way over. By the time election comes around, people are like, "Yeah," but it's a huge step because you got to get. It means the end of insurance companies. So
Good.
Yes, it does.
Good.
And I like Julian Castro. Obviously, I think he's great.
I think
you guys like in your heads. I can tell. You can watch their head spinning.
No,
they have a list of things that are the objections for each.
Mayor Pete's amusing.
Mayor Pete's great. But
yeah, but you know what? He has. I don't know
Heck
any of his.
no.
Well, the thing is that bothers me about him, I don't know any of his policy positions because he has none. He is a shiny object to draw away Bernie voters.
Well,
That's exactly what he is. He is a distraction.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is it too late for somebody else to join the race?
Oh God, no.
No.
Are you declaring? Are you jumping in? This is the platform to do it.
Here I am.
Yeah.
No, but because I just wonder about who
Yeah,
isn't on
yeah.
that list who possibly could be.
Well, they want to put part of the DNC strategy is to put everybody and their brother on the list to suppress the Bernie vote. So
jeez. I also like Jay Inslee, but you guys may not like him. He's
I
another
like
white
Marianne
male.
Williamson.
I know you do.
I like this person.
I'm glad she's going to be in the debate.
Me too.
I like this
But you know what I'm worried about the debates is
also
they
like
will
Andrew
not
Yang.
they will not put Bernie and Biden on those debates together. They're going to put Bernie and Marianne Williamson.
Aren't they going to random it? I thought it was random.
Yeah, how
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
really? Random? Okay.
You guys are
Yes.
too suspicious.
Right.
Yeah,
I
sorry.
know. That's
Tom
right.
Perez
Okay.
is going to totally random it because he has
That guy.
integrity.
Right.
That sleazy bastard.
What do you get?
Jesus.
Seth Moulton. You know who Seth Moulton is? You guys following him?
No.
Massachusetts congressman. And then fun thing about this election I found is that each one was kind of trying to separate themselves by picking an issue. Right. Jay Inslee, the governor of Washington, for those who aren't familiar, he's all climate change.
Right.
And he's got a great record to go with it because he's turned Washington into like one of the greener places you could ever go to. So, and Beto O'Rourke, obviously on immigration focused because there he is. He's in El Paso. He's on a
Now,
border
there's
state,
somebody
right?
who is taking oil money, honey.
Oh, yeah.
So I think you talked about nobody's
Right.
taking big corporate money on the Democrats. Beto
maybe
O'Rourke
yes.
is,
All right.
is being
All right.
funded by big
Kamala
oil.
Harris has taken some nice big corporate checks, too. She went out to the Hamptons about 9 months ago and kissed all the rings and got a nice big fat check.
Yeah, well, and there's the private.
Well, is it
prison
fat
industry.
check or is it $2,600 per person? I mean, because if they're doing $2,600 per person, that's not a fat check. That's the limit of an individual contribution.
Yeah, and you naively believe that that's the only checks that she's getting are the $2,600.
Well, she has to declare
pleas.
everything else. I mean, it's got to
No,
be in a
dude.
PAC or it's got to be,
Right.
It's not like she can
you
hide
could
it.
funnel unlimited money into a PAC.
Correct. But
Okay.
the PAC she doesn't control the PAC. If it's a dark money PAC, she's not controlling it. Yeah.
You want to clean up American politics? Take the PAC out and behind the
Oh,
barn and shoot it in the
we're
back of the head like
completely
the rabid dog it has become.
We are completely in agreement with a constitutional amendment because that's the only real remedy
Right.
of
No,
getting
it's
money
it's
out of
time
politics.
to kill Citizens United before it kills us.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. And tell me why you love Marianne Williamson. Other than I know why I love her that she's in, but
Oh my gosh. So, first of all, I've known about Marianne Williamson. She's a spiritual teacher.
her big thing is Course in Miracles, which is the only 4,000-page book I've ever written or read. I mean, that's like one of the longest books I've ever read.
I
but
haven't
I have
even
read
read
it.
that.
It's pretty great.
Anyway, I read one of her books when I was 12, so I've known about her for a long time. And when I first heard that she was running, my reactions were, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. for her. And then that went to what an egomaniac. Who does she think she is?
Oh, interesting.
And then I went to her website with all of this judgment, and I like her, so I still had all of this judgment. And I was like, I'm gonna watch her videos, right? And I started watching her campaign videos, and I'm like, oh, that's good. Oh, yes.
She's actually got some really good ideas.
So here's what I love about. So first of all, she's given the best speech on reparations that I have ever heard in my life, and she does a better job at it than Bernie.
Okay.
So I speak the truth, people.
Yeah. That's been a great topic, actually. We'll have to say that for another show.
But I have never
Fascinating.
seen a better speech. It's if you go on her website, Marianne2020.com, click videos and click. She has several talks, but it's the one at the Harvard Divinity School. I was like, preach it. Oh my gosh. Anyway, what I love about her is this woman is, I marvel at the knowledge that she so easily accesses so quickly. So she's incredibly smart, and she is strong. She's one of the strongest people I've ever seen, and yet she doesn't get down in the mud. You could never say she's too angry, and yet she will hold people accountable. Like I'm absolutely inspired and marveled by her, and I'm so grateful she's in the debates. And I did contribute money to her campaign just to get her to that 60,000 mark to get her in the debates. And I hope Bernie and Biden, and Marianne are on the stage debating each other with Booker and Harris, and not that. My concern is they're going to put the people that are very similar to each other, so that there's not much contrast, and then it's just, a big kabuki theater.
Okay, so we got to wrap this last thing, but I just want to just one quick last topic, and let me just introduce it with Buttigieg again, not to make any particular attention to him, but you'll get it because here's the topic.
Do you believe at any point in pregnancy, whether it's at 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 24 weeks or whenever, that there should be any limit on a woman's right to have an abortion?
I think the dialogue has got so caught up on where you draw the line that we've gotten away from the fundamental question of who gets to draw the line. And I trust women to draw the line when it's their own.
So I'd like to throw that in because that is the one thing that's going to be on the ballot in 2020 is abortion because of what's going on. So predictions. What effect is that going to have?
It's always
on the
been
election itself.
On the election itself?
For the right, it's always been, God, guns, and gays, right? Abortion goes right in there. That's
so this
always
is their
been
wet
big for the
dream,
right.
wrong term for them. This is their salvation dream, right? This is the moment, finally, they get to end abortion so that we know the certitude crowd where they're going to be. But they're a small minority. They're not enough going to be
Just
able
to know, I think we need to reframe this conversation and stop using their language. What this is about is, does government have the right to make medical decisions for its citizens?
Yes.
Bingo! That's what this is.
Yes.
And the answer is government is not in the home of the free. Government does not have a right to dictate my medical decisions or her medical decisions in this case, since it's only women, period.
Yeah, the term I came up with them, because I was trying to figure out the term. What is the term, right, for what we call them? I don't like them. It's religion-enforced reproductionists.
Or a theocracy.
Right, well, yes. But the point is they're trying to enforce...
Religion, what did you say?
Religion-enforced reproductionists. Because what they're focused on is reproduction must be religiously enforced. And then when you frame it that way... Because when you say, and I agree with you, when you say this is a medical decision, that does not click with them at all. Because it's not medical about them. It's about saving a baby. But religion-enforced reproduction appeals to the religion decision. Go ahead.
The screaming hypocrisy of this is so deafening when you actually look at the book that they thump on and don't bother to read.
Jesus never said a single thing about abortion.
But there is a little section in Matthew about when life begins, and that's when God breathes it in and he breathes it back out, which means it's out of the womb. So if it's out of the womb, that's fine. But you know what? Nobody, and I mean nobody, gets to tell me what to do with my body. Period. End of sentence. Full freaking stop.
So I think the prediction then, which is what
They
you're
should
saying.
have to take financial responsibility for all these babies.
Bingo.
They're the ones cutting WIC, which is, food
Women in
stamps.
crisis, yeah.
They're the ones that cut public education. They're the ones that want to cut Head Start. As Randy Rhoads used to say, they love the fetus and they hate the child.
Right. So how on earth do they get the label of pro-life when they do all this stuff that really damages?
Brian's got to get in. Go, Executive Brian.
Is it going to force you to claim your religious beliefs in order to have an abortion? Because that's really what we're talking about. We're talking about a religious belief. So whether or not you have to claim it in order to get one, or you're not you're a Catholic, you can't do that.
Right.
Or you're so-and-so. That's where the path goes for me.
So exactly.
Right. So religious people should not get abortions.
Right. So
just let the rest of the people get.
You know the irony on that, though? Statistically, they have the highest rate.
Honey, I know personally some very religious people
Who have.
Yeah.
So
that's why I think you all just you answered my question on the table, which is how will it affect the election? If you just asked this question in 1985, I would have said it was a disaster for the pro-life, pro-choices. Yeah. But now, which even they show polls as much as 75% support Roe v. Wade, this is just another example of the implosion of the certitude right. I think this is going to just cause more problems for them. Yeah, it'll make them win in a deep red district in Missouri, but it may flip everything else.
And the economic
women are going to vote in even more numbers than 2018, and they voted in record numbers.
Right.
In 2018.
So the women are going to come out, and then also you're facing Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi. They're all facing huge economic backlashes.
Yeah. Netflix pulls out of Georgia.
Pulls out.
I mean,
Disney's pulling out.
What was the previous host? $5 billion potential revenue for Georgia that could be lost as a result of this. No,
gone.
This discussion is over. It ended in 1916 when Margaret Sanger opened the first women's health clinic and offered forms of contraception. And ever since then, it's just been a juggernaut that is not. It's like the oppression of women as property. That's gone. And these folks are going to bump up. The old time religion is going to hit up against this Me Too, Time's Up, women's rights reckoning, and women are going to be like, there's going to be so much finger wagging.
Women and kids.
Yeah.
Like the younger generation, they don't get it. They don't get why the government's up in your uterus. It's like this weird concept to them. They don't understand why that it could even happen in
How
this
they can
country.
get a pachyderm in the universe.
How on earth can you get an elephant in the uterus? It's just not possible.
That's Reference Republican Party. That's Jeff Hendrick. You heard Erika Ferriston. Executive Brian. I'm Jeff Stein. Thank you for listening to Possibility Politics. We'll do this again. Without you, we're nothing.